For today's video, we're going to work on gathering up the hands in the trapping range. To approach the area of study of actually gathering up hands, trapping and pinning them while in trapping range, we're going to start off with some basic Chun or JKD hand trapping exercises. So we'll start this from the reference point under the assumption that this is a new skill from you. Starting at the reference point here is a really great jumping off point. It allows us just to have a neutral place to start developing these skills and getting comfortable with them. Pretty quickly, you should put this onto a boxing platform where maybe he jabs and we learn to defend against it that way. But for right now, I think starting here is as good as anywhere else. So we're starting right lead. You can and should probably do both right and left. For the sake of the video, we'll stay right lead, right hand out. So I'm going to practice paksao, that's slap and hit. Trapping this hand forward, but his lead arm is too damn strong. I can't get through it. He's giving me too much static energy like that, and I stall. So I swing this one around to hit on this side. That would be 1 and 2 like that. But again, I'm stuck, so this comes around to hit. Now to prevent that, he's going to bring his other hand into play and block, just stopping it. But anything you do to cover, for right now we'll leave a tight cover out and make that a wide blocking shape. Now from here, I double jut. That's taking my hands and popping both of these arms down and towards me a little bit. It's a slightly explosive way to pull in a small, almost jerking motion so that the head moves while the arms move. So if we look at that same position, double jut from this orientation, you'll see his upper body and shoulders come forward, but his chin will come out, which makes it perfect for follow-up hitting because his center of gravity drops, but his chin hovers right at fist height like this. So again, we have paksao that's not successful. This is too strong of a barrier. So I have to reorient myself. I got to change my line of attack and swing this around. They say large disengagement because I'm going to the far side of his head. Here, like this. Now he picks up that what maybe would be a hook punch or a slap to the ear. So I take this side of my hand and a little bit my palm and meet his forearms just here by the ditch of the elbow. 1 and 2, and I'm gonna pull these in quick fashion towards my near side hip, like that. See the body move and the chin comes up. If I add my shot to this, then his chin effectively lands on that punch like oncoming traffic. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.5. 1, 2, like this. Then the last piece is the gathering bit. So when we jut this, we're going to take our rear hand, which is the left one right now, and slide it across to pin these. I'm only going to get a brief moment for this pin. I'm not assuming that I get to hang out here the whole time, but I get an opportunity to just freeze his arm in place while I hit him and limit his ability to defend himself like this. So we swing around, pop these down, slide across, and pin. My pin is my forearm here in the crook of his elbow, pinning both his bicep and the upper part of his forearm towards his body. And then this hand reaches across. I'm not trying to grasp this in any way as much as I'm just for a moment trying to pin this towards his body and line up this shot. So the second version that we often do in the MKG method for our JKD trapping curriculum is a swinging gait on this jut, so that when we do the double jut portion here, instead of pulling them to my lead hip, I'm going to pull through towards my rear hip this way. All right, so it swings his body and mind, and it changes our orientation. He's now on the other side of my body, which just sets up different follow-up techniques. So I do trap and hit. Unsuccessful, so I swing this around maybe to box the ear, and again he defends. So instead of pulling these towards this hip, I'm going to pull them through towards this side. It might be helpful for me to change my footing a little bit. We use the term split triangle, right? So if my right foot is forward, then I'm going to change so my left foot is forward. It's very similar to male triangle in the Filipino arms. This way. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Paksao, if he's too strong, large disengagement, swing double jut, gamsada, here like that. And this hit could be here, could be here. Oftentimes we might go that route and turn into some sort of grappling scenario like this. So another method for gathering up the arms and pinning or controlling them for a moment is to still take this platform, but instead of pulling these both at the same time, I'm going to hammer one and grasp the other. I'm going to pass from one hand to the next so that I've got some control over one arm and a lot of control of the other. A good position to start firing from. So we have one here, two here. I'm going to take my rear hand, because I'm in my right lead, it's my left, and hammer down on the crook of his elbow. We're talking hammering in this position so that it causes the structure of the arm to collapse, and you'll see his chin come forward a little bit. Right, that's down, almost a scooping motion, ever so slightly, but using a thumbs up arm position in the crook of the elbow like that. You can see his head wants to come towards the shoulder this way. So we're on this arm here, and I lever that down, right, hammer it down. Now I've got an attachment on this side, so I'm going to use it. I'm going to grasp here by the meat of the thumb with my palm, not using the grip of my thumb, but keeping my thumb on top, and pass this forearm to my other hand. If I grab the meat of the thumb and not his arm, it will slide right into place, connecting my hand to his forearm on this side exactly where I want it. Once I have this grasp, I've got a little bit of forward pressure through my elbow and forearm on this arm, which is pinning or at least monitoring, and then I have this grasp. This gives me the opportunity again to pin and control and hit, to pull and turn his body to hit or to fire in different ways depending on the circumstances, and to effect a takedown fairly easily because his base is compromised. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's also a wrench here if we choose to implement it, which rolls rather nicely into our hammerlock position. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here like this. Once we cross body this way, again, we could wrench on the arm here and roll this in to grasp the shoulder, pin this on the side, and now we have our hammerlock in place. So a good strategy to get a lot of repetition of this and to not have to start from such a static position as a reference point is to implement it in our hubud. So if we take a classical hubud feed with this angle 1 forehand generator this way, then once we're in our catch and lift position, we're really quite similar to our reference point that we started with. So pretty quickly, we can find the opportunity to implement these trapping sequences right here inside of hubud. So catch, lift, pat. From my lift, I'm going to pat, and instead of feeding over top, I'm going to swing around this way. Right? So again, that's catch, lift, pat, and jiao sao. Swing this hand around. Okay? And again, first one is double jut, pin and hit. Then I'm going to just let go slowly and feed right away. It's probably a good habit for me to get into, to go here, pin and hit, and keep some monitor here while I feed like that, so that I've got something akin to an exit strategy, right? And that I'm not developing this thing that says I win, and I go here and hope that he doesn't hit me in the mouth. So the second one we had was swinging gait, which is the way that we take our double juts out and move it to the other side of the body. So we'll approach it in the same timing here. Catch, lift, trap to jiao sao around. Now remember, if he doesn't cover this and you get him, boom, okay, maybe we're done. Good, and we just go right back into feeding. But assuming that he's going to pick this up or going at a pace that I'm going to let him pick it up, I now double jut, but instead of to this hip, I change my feet, pull through to the other side, and now he's moved to this side of the body. I pin and hit. If I slide my hand off and feed as before, we've now switched to a left feed. So we're using this jiao sao technique, this series, to act as a switch from left to right side feed inside of hubud.
The third version we had to gather these hands up was, instead of simultaneous single beat, it's more of a 1.5 beat, not quite a 2, wherein on this position I hammer this down a little bit with a little bit of a levering motion, might bring that head forward, but as we said, we swing one hand to the other. Okay, this could give us a wrench here, that could give us a wrench here. it could give us a position to headbutt or to sweep in some way. But we're just going to put this in the Hubud flow and allow this to be a technique that we just kind of add in along the way so that we have 1, 2, hammer and gather like this. But I could give them one like that and then feed. Now my feed from here, if I want to make this a switch to go from a right hand to a left hand feed in Hubud, would be once I gather and switch here, I hit, pock, and feed. Now we're left to left. So from left to left, I go lift, trap, and jiao sao. Hammer and gather, hit them, just like that, right? Then trap to monitor and feed on the other side. Now we're again right to right. I can also remove these switching sides out of this equation and just stay on one side. So we're feeding right to right. And I'm going to come here, hammer down, gather up, and hit. Then switch to this arm. I'm now monitoring both, which is to say I have contact on both. So when I bring this up to feed, he's just going to lift right away, lift out, and we're back into it. That one again is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I switch here and just let him lift us out. And it's still right to right. Okay, so we're gonna do the Byran special. And you know, one of the things that I know Byran likes to do is that when we're controlling the arms is to use that as really just an opportunity to get control of the head. So we'll still start here from the reference point just one time so we can see it in isolation, and we'll plug it into Hubud. So we have trap and hit. We practice our swinging gait, but instead of pinning across and hitting, we're gonna swing this around, bail, and grab the head like this. Right, so I'm using this swinging gait to generate momentum of his body, and his head will almost come to rest damn near right in the hand. Right, my hand is about this position, and you'll notice by the time I finish the movement, his head will be in this vicinity. 1, 2, 3, there it is, boom. Right, so we're gonna gather this with awareness that this is probably a shot. Right, so we're thinking maybe of boxing the ear, or a forearm shot to the head and a slap to the back of the head like that. Then this is a grab and hit position like that. You could punch, you could elbow, doesn't really matter. Just make sure you miss on your training partner. 1, 2, 3, and grab and fire right here. So when we plug this into Hubud, catch, lift, pat. And just like before, we're going to go from this lift, pock, and jiao. This pock jiao is either because within Hubud, I feel him try to muscle me here in this position, so I bail and deviate to this line, or I decide to deviate to this line, and my pock is really to monitor this hand and keep him from backhanding me. So we have catch, lift, trap, and circle around. Swing these through, gather this up, and hit. Then I just come out and feed right away, allowing my hand to come to rest on his forearm in the process so that I leave no door unlocked. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Taking this big swinging motion of jiao sao as an opportunity to work on gathering up strategies, right? Ways to control or monitor those limbs, if only for the timing of one punch. It's a good strategy to say, okay, well, if we're out here moving around, I gotta gather these up and hit quick. How do I get used to crashing in there, to bridging this gap, moving his arms out of the way so I don't get hit, and creating space so that I can use some major tools here and get the job done. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all those good things. We appreciate the effort. Let us know what came of it for your training, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them in a follow-up video or in the comments below. Thanks again. Appreciate it.